And we are back. And before we get into things, Bish is, if you don't watch our betting show, I'll give a quick shout out to Bish, who hit 3 out of 3. I had it in a treble. I had his picks in a treble because they're normally lower odds. I took them all together. He's hit all 3. Ended up paying for my weekend. So thank you, Bish. What a weekend, and we'll get into why. I think you might be bringing him up later in the show. But yeah, nailed one. Got a bit lucky, a bit of punt history if you were tailing with us. One of the last 2 plays of the game, and he hit a big one. So, but first off, Bish, how are you, and how was your NFL weekend?
Yeah, very good. You're rubbing off on me, Joe. You're hot, and I'm catching fire next year. So yeah, it's been a very good betting week for those that follow us on that. But some great games. The witching hour. The last couple of minutes of the games in that first window. Some great finishes, which were great to watch. And yeah, it's been a great weekend. Apart from the punt league, where I'm now staring down the face of my third loss, back-to-back loss against Jordan Lane. The Hull boys went in with a tag team this week, trade that I wasn't too keen on, and it's scuppered me. So I'm struggling at the minute. I think I'm going to drop from first to third, the way things are going this weekend, and all of a sudden I'm looking behind me and sort of reaching out for that finish line to cement my place in the playoffs. But it's business end of the year. Looking forward to it, and a good win for you, Joe.
Yeah, fantasy wise, yeah, landed one of my bets to make myself just under about even, and then fantasy beat Lucky Walmsley. Hopefully pretty comfortable. I've still got 1 player to play, and I'm obviously 9 points ahead. So and that plays J.K. Dobbins, who's having a pretty decent year anyway. Tough matchup tonight, but yeah, no, really happy with my 7 and 5, and I think my team's all coming in the right direction. I've been through most of my bye weeks now, so I think all of them now, haven't we? I think we finished. Did we finish bye weeks last week, or have we still got 1 or 2 left?
I think they might go up to week 14. So there might be a couple left.
But we've been through the big one that I think last weekend. I think everyone had a couple that were on bye, so got through it with a win. Pretty happy. Ready to for them playoffs really now. As long as I pull off 1 more win in the next 2 weeks, I should be in the playoffs. And I think at the moment I'm in the same bracket as you, Bish, so we could have a repeat of last year's getting at it. So I'm a bit excited. But we'll probably go into that at the end of the show. But we'll go into the first segment that we always do. New to this year, it's Overreaction Monday. A lot to talk about in the NFL world. But what's your big shock of the weekend?
You know me, I like to be negative. Probably not an overreaction if I'm honest, but the 49ers shut them down. Bottom of the NFC West, I think. Put a fork in them, they're done. Struggling with injuries. McCaffrey is not the same McCaffrey. Obviously no preseason. I'd say shut him down, get Jordan Mason back in, look more effective, get Debo traded, and start again. Because they've missed that Super Bowl window the last few years, and I think it's a tough place to be there. So many injuries: Purdy, Bosa, Trent Williams. Just write it off. Early season, get some rest, come back next year. Good night.
Yeah, I think the one that I wanted to bring up actually is about this 49. I'm seeing a lot of it that you kind of mentioned, that Super Bowl window for the. I think that is a bit of the overreaction part about this, because a lot of people are saying it, the window's over, but as we've seen, Jordan Mason's still been brilliant. He's still on the younger side of things, and then you've still got Kittle, who's still got a year or 2 left in him, and the Debo's, the Ayuk's young. You've got Debo's getting older, but still got plenty of years. I think given that the 49ers seem to do it every couple of years. They have 2 years on, and then they have this like injury low dip year where they get 1-2 draft picks, come back again, and then have another 2 years on it. And I think through the last since 2016, since I've been watching football more and more seriously and more in depth, they go on this. I think they're still in it. They've still got the playmakers. Like you said, I think just the sad one, in my view, would be the McCaffrey. It might be the end of CMC as a number one pick every year.
Yeah, I think his elite status, obviously that massively hurts him. But I honestly think Debo's gone. There is whispers about it. Juwan Jennings got a new contract. He's been really good. You've got Ricky Pearsall now. Brandon Ayuk off the ACL. I think that will obviously hurt him next year. He won't be as explosive as he was. He might take a bit of time to get back. So, yeah, Kittle will be Kittle. They're going to have to pay Purdy, which means they've got to let other people go. So, I think, it'll be interesting. And as we're seeing in the NFC West, it's very competitive at the minute. Arizona are no, they're not actually. Seahawks won, didn't they? So, it's very competitive in that division. And for me, it's just when you try so hard and you fail right at the last hurdle, it's so hard to then motivate yourself to get back up. We see if you win like the Chiefs do, it's easy to we've got that Super Bowl bounce, we're defending champions. But when you get to so close to the summit and then you drop back down, you've got to start again, and you do it repeatedly like the 49ers have done. I just think it's a bit worrying times for them at the minute. So, and as a Rams fan, it's great to see.
Oh, there we go. I forgot. I like it. My one's along the same line as you, a negative like angle on it all, and I'm going the Texans. It's a bit late in the season now, so it's not an overreaction, more just a fair statement. CJ Stroud, sophomore slump. I think they have to write the ship off and kick on to next year now, because I think their season's slowly coming to a halt. A couple of injuries, and it's not flowing like it did at that start of the season. I think they're slowly getting figured out.
Yeah, that's it. And like you said, now they had that year. Now it's a tougher schedule. They're playing better teams. People have got tape on CJ Stroud. And it's probably the first game that I've seen Joe Mixon really be bottled up and not be effective at all. Obviously they've struggled with wide receiver injuries, no Stephon Diggs. But the funny thing is, the division they're in, the AFC South, is that bad. They're still going to be top seeds. There's Indianapolis Colts who might give them a run for the money, but Texans, they're still likely to make the playoffs. Will they do anything in the playoffs? I'm not sure. Based on this form, they're going to need a massive, a one-off wonder game from CJ Stroud and everyone being hot. But you never know. They caused some trouble last year. But yeah, it's looking very bleak for them at the minute.
And I'll chuck another one in. I'll do a fresh one. I'll pretend I'm Tag, but this is not from Tag. I'm putting another one in. Baker Mayfield, before he finished his career, has got an MVP in him. He's got an MVP in him. I love him. Everyone's loving him. He's got that doing the dimes. He's just got freak confidence. He's hopefully getting the team to match him in the next couple of years. He's got a few young ones, a few older ones, a nice mix. If they get it right, he has got an MVP in him as Baker.
I'd love to see that happen. I really would. And again, they're one game behind the Falcons in that division, but they've got Mike Evans back. The running backs are looking really good. So yeah, full credit to that offense. They're really making things happen. I will touch on an injury on defense, which might scupper them a little bit, but it's great to see Baker running down the field, making blocks, celebrating, like you said, rubbing it in the New York home stadium there, the old DeVito. So it's great to see.
It was, yeah. We'll get into the negatives first, to cover it for fantasy. The injury report. I think there's been a couple, Bish, and you've got quite a few to rattle through, I think.
Yeah, so I'll start with the offensive side of the ball. We'll go with Josh Downs for the Indianapolis Colts. He sort of landed on his, again, it's like AC joint shoulder. and it's looking like he's likely to miss week 13 against the Patriots. So that just opens up a window for you, Alec Pierce. I think it's Adonai Mitchell, and then hopefully a lot more targets for Pittman Jr. We know with Richardson, we've seen that bad spell, but since he's come back in, this is the second game he's been back in. He's got a cannon of an arm, and when they're behind in games, he can find people downfield. So that's one less deep threat there. So yeah, if you've got Pittman, you're happy, and I think Alec Pierce might be a goer there as well. And then just the big one on the defensive side, I think, is Jordan Whitehead. We just touched on it there. The Buccaneers, the sort of coming looking good. A bit of a nasty one. He face masked. I think it was DeVito actually, but in the process he tore his pec, so he's gone for the season. Big part of their defense, the safety, missed the beginning of the season. They looked like a sieve, against the pass. Sturdied him up a little bit, and he's gone again now. So I think for fantasy purposes, any wide receivers against the Buccaneers, get playing them. And Buccaneers offense in general, we've touched on it there. Baker is a gunslinger. They're going to score plenty of points. The other team's going to have to keep up. So plenty of points to be had there. And then I'll touch on one more because I don't want to take them all off you, Joe. But a big one for us was Brian Robinson Jr. Missing him. He got rolled up on a little bit very early. Looked pretty nasty, if I'm honest, on his ankle. He did come back in, took a few carries and didn't look right. And then, we didn't see him again for the rest of the game. So that's one to look out for. The severity of that one potentially could be a week or two. So yeah, we'll have to see. That opens obviously things up for Austin Eckler, although he was, I think, taken off with concussion. So if you are on buys this week, the third string running back McNichols might be a perfect streaming option for you there.
I like it, Rich. Yeah, I'll cover a couple I've got on the defensive side as well. Riley Moss for the Denver Broncos. Obviously for stream, whoever they've got coming up, I think he's only out for a week or two. But if you're not picking up wide receivers against that Bronco secondary, I don't think it's a place where people are going to, like you said, pick players up off the waiver wire with how good they've been. Riley Moss has been a big part of that. If you do your research, find out who obviously they're going against now. You can at least look that way and look at picking up a few plays if they are up against the Broncos, where previously, even if they were a flex player, they'd be benched. Now I think you can play them streamables against them. It just opens up more space. One was David Montgomery. Again, his shoulder. Jameer Gibbs owners will be sadly dancing with respect. Will be dancing even more because he's been an absolute freak on the offensive side. We can mention Jameer every week, but now Montgomery's gone, you're probably ecstatic. And then should hopefully open it up more for some of the other pass catchers. If they don't have the dual-headed Jameer Gibbs, having 100% of the snaps might be a bit much for him. Hopefully they pass it a bit more. Go for my man Sam Laporta, or one of the other ones might get a bit more action, where some of them receiving core on the Detroit Lions haven't been used as much as you'd hope because of how good the Sonic and Knuckles have been. And then I don't think this is as necessary, but Gardner Minshew, if you have dared to stream him, he's now out for the season. So an old friend of the shows who I used to like to mention is, I think that might be the end of Gardner having any starting job in the QB ever again. So just a quick shout out to an old friend of ours from the show from about, I think, the first season where we did it. We loved a bit of Minshew mania. I think that is now ended. The Minshew mania is now ended, even though it's pretty much been ended all season. Into the next one, Bish. It's another one, panic stations. I've got a couple, but I'll let you chuck one at me first.
Yeah, again, I find this hard one, but I'm going to go with someone from my own team. And the way I see it, it's Rocks and Diamonds. His last 5 performances, he's had 3 games over 100. yards, and he's had 2 absolute stinkers. And apart from the last 20 seconds, it looked like this week it was going to be another stinker, and that's Terry McLaurin. I'm not sure what to do with him, if I'm honest. I think I'm playing him due to his name and the offense, scoring points. But we saw for, I'd say, 3.5 quarters, the game was maybe 10-7, 10-9, possibly. Nothing happened at all. And then all of a sudden, the last quarter of the last quarter, it absolutely went off. So it's like, if you're a Terry McLaurin owner, just for some, just for the viewers out there that sort of know, my wide receiver core is Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf. I've got Brian Thomas Jr. and Devontae Adams. So he's a starter for me. My flex, I go with running backs. I've got very good running backs. So I've got to play 2 out of those 4. Coming into the playoffs, Joe, would you be worried about that situation? In our league, we've got another day now. We've got, one evening before the transfer window shuts, the trade window, sorry. Would you be out there trying to strengthen wide receiver, or would you be okay and take the risk?
Knowing your team and how good your running backs are, no, I wouldn't be worried as much, because them 4 wide receivers you mentioned are always fitting into 2, unless one of them sadly gets injured, which you can't control. Them 3 running backs are starting, if they're not on bye, each week, every week, regardless of matchup. And I think because you've got 4 decent wide receivers, I think you can pick and play. Do you know what I mean? I know you do your research. If it was someone else, I know I didn't back myself to do it all the time, because I'd like the. But if you're doing your research and you've got the 4 options, I tried to trade up. You saw what happened with me with CeeDee Lamb mid-season, where I was on the trajectory down. I've luckily got a few moves that have paid off for me, but no, I think 4 fits into 2 well there, Bish. Like you said, none of them are guarantees, and I think if you get the matchups right, they're all at different teams that you've not stacked at one area. I think you can get it right based on them 4 names week on, week out. It's just going to require more effort than probably what you what you dreamed of at the end of the season, where you just play your lineup. But as long as you put in the effort, which I know you will, I like what you do. I won't panic. You've got 3 amazing running backs that are going to take you deep into the playoffs. Just get them start-sit options right in that wide receiver room, and I think you'll be flying close to them finals.
Lovely. Just for the fans out there, my running backs are Kyron Williams, Bijan Robinson, and Devon Achane as well. So them 3 will play. I had Robinson on buys this week, but yeah, for me, McLaurin, I've set out week 15 and week 17. There is must starts. I can't remember who he's got off the top of my head, but I know.
I think he's on bye. I know I said I thought all the buys are done, but I think Washington are on bye next week, aren't they?
I'm not sure. I do know week 15 and 17, the playoffs. I didn't think I'd be playing in week 15 because I thought I'd have the bye, but now I'm stumbling down the league. I think I'm going to need to be playing him. So I'm just looking at my team now.
No, you've got
week 14, he's got a bye.
Yeah, Tennessee, then the bye.
Tennessee next week, then the bye. Then he's fresh, ready to go. New Orleans Saints in the playoffs. And win me the league. Atlanta Falcons, week 17.
That's what I think he's good, because that bye week's coming at a good time. They're saying the reason. Oh no, my names when I'm under pressure just collapse on me. The QB,
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Wow, that's bad for a thing. For Jaden, they're saying it's coming at the perfect time. They're saying the reason he's playing bad is because of a lingering rib injury that he's putting up with, so his movement's not as good. He's not being as brave in the pocket. Giving that week off, I think you'll be back flying. I think Jaden it looks like he needs a week. He's not looking as sharp as an elusive. I think give his body a rest, and I think McLaurin will see the prosper of that when he's escaping the pocket and giving himself more time to get open.
Nice.
I told you on it, yeah. You're keeping him now.
Yeah, my confidence is back.
I've got one that I don't look at myself, but I played him against him this week, and I'm still not sure or convinced. It's James Conner. I think if you look at his last couple of weeks, it's not been. I think he's getting away with it as he has done for the last year or two. To be fair, in some points with his touchdowns, he's got the reception touchdowns that got him big points last week, but not the yardage. He had a bad week yesterday on Sunday anyway against the Seahawks. I'm still not super convinced. He's had three or four big weeks, but I'm not convinced by him. Not convinced by Arizona's offensive line yet. And I think as the season goes on, they look more and more tired, and he's getting that bit older, and he looks less and less impressive every time I watch him. So, are you disagreeing with me, or are you buying a ticket and on the train with me?
Yeah, he only had 7 carries at the weekend as well. Actually, Trey Benson, the backup, had 16 carries. So no, he didn't. Take that back. He had 4 carries. So that's a bit interesting. Yeah, like you said, usually you'd think James Conner is the lead back there, the sort of workhorse back. The only thing I'd say going for him is his playoff running. Week 15, he's got New England. Week 16, he's got Carolina, and then 17 is the Rams. So he's got 2 out of 3 pretty good fixtures there.
Yeah.
So if you can carry him for the next 2 weeks and get to that position, I think you probably play him based on those matchups. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, the Cardinals' offense in general were pretty bottled up by the Seahawks, so that's one to keep an eye out, I think, there, and definitely pick up Benson.
And then the next one I've got is the number 1 wide receiver in the league, in my opinion. So it's obviously you're not on the panic station train, but keep in mind his expectations of wide receiver 1 from week 1 onwards. We've got Justin Jefferson, 2 out of 5 receptions, 27 yards. Teams are obviously double teaming him out of the game at the moment, which is opening up for the Jordan Addisons, the Hawkinsons, and the others on the team. Shout out the rookie as well, who's been playing quite well. Again, not very good at names, aren't my strong suit off my head, but the other pass catchers have been doing very well. Jefferson's had a few tough weeks now, as we know from the betting show. Are you on the train, or do you think he'll bounce back?
I am getting worried. I think I brought him up maybe 5 weeks ago. Same thing. Like you said, from that usage, he's not scored in his last 4 games. In his last 3, he's not been over 82 yards. So for your main wide receiver 1, yeah, it is a bit tough. We've seen Jordan Addison went off this week. TJ Hawkinson's come back from his ACL, and he's getting plenty of attention with the ball. So I am definitely worried, if I'm honest. But it's one of those where you've got to play him. He's capable of having a monster game. There's no way you can bench him at all. You've got to play him and just hope that he gets peppered with targets. To be fair, he's still getting the targets. He's had 9 targets in his last 3 out of 4 games, and he's caught 7, 5, 6. But it's just not downfield. It's just it's like you said, he's being marked out the game, but come short, we'll give you the ball just to get the ball in your hands, which is, we want to see Jefferson down the field. We want to see those big passes. So if I'm his owner, I am very worried. Again, the playoff schedule, he's got the Chicago Bears defense. It's a pretty good defense. The Seahawks, and then week 17, the Packers, which is fairly decent as well. Xavier McKinney is having a very good season. So, yeah, I'm panicking, Joe.
So I'll ask a question from that then. So that if you are panicking, let's say I have DK Metcalf, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Are you accepting that trade?
If I can get Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'll take that all day long. Yes. The way that offense is, the way they're scoring points at the minute is absolutely crazy. They're scoring 30 plus points a game. So if you can get a little bit of that, Amon-Ra, it's his first week in 8, I believe, that he's not scored a touchdown. So for him, it was a bit of a quiet week. But if you can get the main wide receiver on a team scoring 30 plus points, yeah, go get him.
And then I'll chuck one more in. What about similar situation? Then I'll probably know your answer. An AJ Brown and someone else. Are you taking that package?
Disclaimer alert. I said we've still got one night in the punt. I'm trying to get AJ Brown. I tried to get him last night before the Rams game.
Oh, I'm trying to understand which one you were trying.
But I think you've took me off him, Joe. Because if you're happy with McLaurin, I'm happy with McLaurin. So I think I'll sit tight. But I have been looking at acquiring AJ Brown again. He's got another nice run into the playoffs. My worry is Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts touchdowns. That's my worry. But would I do that deal? I think let me just check Jefferson's schedule. I just told you his schedule, didn't I? He's got the Bears, the Seahawks, and the Packers in the playoffs. I think I would do that deal. I'd go get AJ Brown. Yeah, I think I would.
Oh, wow. So in general, then you've got Justin Jefferson out of your top 3 or 4.
I think so. I think this time of year for your playoffs, you need the informed players. We know how good he is, but it's not even a 1 week blip. It's the last 3 weeks. The highest he's got is 11. The lowest is 3 points in a half PPR. So unless I see something pretty drastic, give me the players in form who are getting the ball.
I like it, eh? I like that. Good bit of advice for people out there. Then go. You've still got your trade deadline. I don't. In my other league, I don't have a trade deadline. So up until the playoffs. So go make the move. Give Biss a message if it turns out.
If it turns, yeah, that's it.
On that note, Bish, it's the breakouts. Let's have a positive one. I've got 2 players this week, but I'll let you go first. Who's your top player/players of the week?
I'm going to cheat and I'm going to throw 2 up there. My honourable mention is, I got some stick for being a secret Miami Dolphins fan last year, but it's Tua Tagovailoa. He gets a lot of stick. Been through a lot this year, but he was absolutely purring against the Patriots, and I'm pretty sure I saw him throw a no-look pass to Jalen Waddle. I only saw it quickly on Red Zone, so I wasn't 100% sure, but it looked like a no-look pass for a touchdown. So, and then, he threw one over his shoulder to Jalen Wright as well. So confidence is oozing. He got 28.5 points, 317 passing yards, 4 TDs. I think he got taken out of the game in the 3rd quarter. So, he could have been on for a hell of a score there. So, honourable mention. And then now I've had a few hours to reflect it. I stayed up. I watched the Rams-Eagles game. My Rams hat on. I was devastated. But now I can admire the greatness of Saquon Barkley. 44.2 points in the punt. 302 total scrimmage yards, 2 touchdowns. And I'm just so grateful for the New York Giants for letting him come to a team where we can actually see what he can do. That offensive line of the Eagles is phenomenal. Absolutely bullied the Rams. And Barkley in full flow. If he had a Derrick Henry stiff arm and the guy was off his feet, it was like he's just got it all for me. Absolutely unbelievable player. So yeah, my star of the week is Saquon Barkley.
I like it. Yeah, brilliant one. Who's your? I like the 2. Saquon's stats were unbelievable. Like I said, I missed the game sadly. Watched the highlights. They're all over Twitter. Hard to miss one because they were that good. Unbelievable. On that, these aren't my 2 players, but it's just a bit of love for running backs who have had a lot of hate over the last couple of years. Obviously, you've got Josh Jacobs, Saquon, and Derrick Henry all traded to good offenses and all having absolutely outstanding seasons. So all the hate that running backs have had over the last couple of years, get the elite ones, put them actually on. For some reason, a lot of the best running backs have been on bad teams. The 3 I've mentioned have been on bad teams the last couple of years. Finally on good teams. Don't write them off yet, just because the luck of the running back's not been going the right way the last couple of years. Now it is, and it's been a running back season, and I like it. Back to ground and pound football. And it's what you see at the college level. It's what you see at the high school level, and it's something different at least, other than these wide receivers just going off for 150 yards every week.
And that's what this time of year, December, cold football weather. If you're in the AFC, that's what it is, isn't it? It's playoff football is run the ball and defend. So yeah, the Packers. I'm liking the Packers. They're looking pretty good.
Well, on that, I'm going to do two running backs. I mentioned one of them. I mentioned Josh Jacobs, 26 carries. He got my betting. He got one of my touchdown bets in as well. Josh Jacobs, 26 carries, 106 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. Just absolutely decimated that injured San Francisco defense. Looked unbelievable, and really happy. And then the one who I've loved all year because I picked him up in my other league. It's got to be my man, Bucky Irving, the last pick of my other draft. What a year he's having. 87 rushing yards, not outstanding rushing, but a touchdown on the ground. And then his receiving work was just phenomenal. Six receptions, 6 targets, 64 yards, 24.1 fantasy points. He just looks brilliant. Like you said, shout out Baker helping him get some of them fantasy points. But they found a very, very late hidden gem there in Bucky. He's took over Rashard White in every role now. It's been coming all season. He's now took over the receiving, took over the heavy duty work as well. Rashard White hardly got used. The other running backs even taking over Rashard White now. So sad for Rashard, but Bucky Irving's the man. And well done for people who picked him up. Who got him in that? Was it you or Tag? I think it wasn't you, was it? Was it Tag or?
No, I think I picked him up, but I traded him to Sam. I'm pretty sure I did that. And again, he got stopped at the 1 yard line twice as well, didn't he? Sean took a touchdown off him, so he could have been on for an even bigger game. But yeah, I like him. He's electric. When he gets the ball, he makes things happen. So he could definitely be a great option in the playoffs.
And the most important part, and like I said, if you do have a trade deadline, it gets even more important. You've got a week or 2 left, really, to pick up some late flyers. It's the punt projects, the waiver wire pickups. Get on them, and we've got a few for you. Bish, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I've got 2 coming in, and we spoke about him earlier. We spoke about James Conner, and I'm throwing up Trey Benson here. You know, he didn't get up to much last week against the Seahawks, but he did have a lot of carries. The 2 weeks before the bye, he put up some good points. So if you are a James Conner owner, even if you're not a James Conner owner and you think maybe that's a situation that could change, get Trey Benson on your bench because down the stretch, I think he could be a good player to have there. And another one, I've got a wide receiver for the Titans, Nick Westbrook-Akini. 2 double-digit weeks with a touchdown in each one. We know we've spoke about Will Levis. You know, he loves to throw the ball. It's either going to be a touchdown for a Titan or it's going to be a touchdown for the opposition defense. So you know, he throws it a hell of a lot. And again, he's got, looking at the sleeper app, he's got a lot of green fixtures coming up. So you know, it's favourable matchups. Westbrook-Akini seems to be the deep ball favourite. Maybe the others are fixed on Calvin Ridley, so go pick him up. He's in form, and stick him in your lineup.
I like it. I've got 2 wide receivers as well that I think are worth a pick up. One's I'm surprised is Michael Pittman. I think obviously this is the first week that you finally saw that connection with Anthony Richardson working. He's ended up with 12.6 fantasy points, 96 receiving yards on 6 receptions. Hasn't really got many touchdowns this year, so I think that's why a lot of his points have obviously been pretty low. But he's getting them receptions. He's getting the targets. Last 2 weeks now, 8 targets, 7 targets, a 46-yard one, again quite low, but then a 96 last week. He's getting used. He's had some big weeks mid-season around when Richardson got benched for them 2 or 3 weeks. We saw Pittman more, but I think they've really been trying to make it work. Obviously, with Pittman meant to be the wide receiver one on that Indianapolis Colts team, and I think he's going to start getting used more and more. And if you do need him, I'd pick him up now, because in the final week, if you do make it to week 18, he is playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think it doesn't. I think what a finish for Pittman, and he might be a league winner for you. My other one is actually one that it's going to be a risk. I'm not super on him, but he's getting used more and more, and he's called Devon Vele. And Tag will know who it is because he's on the Broncos, the Denver Broncos. He's been getting, again, more targets, more receptions. He had 9 targets last week on 6 receptions, 80 receiving yards. He's a very old rookie. He's 26 years old, but I believe he is a rookie. He was picked like in the last in the draft, not the last, but I think in one of the last 2 rounds in the draft, if I'm not completely wrong. Bish ain't giving me a nod.
I have no idea. He's definitely a rookie, I know that, but I don't know where he went.
Saying he's like a really old rookie, but he's getting used more and more. He seems to be. Bonick seems to like him. He uses him on 3rd downs, and with again Denver's matchup, having them greens, you've got Cleveland, who haven't been surprisingly very good against wide receivers. You've got the Colts, who haven't been. You've got Cincinnati as well. The only really, really tough matchup there is against the Chargers, that are sandwiched in the middle. But like you said, this is a streamable man. He's someone you're putting on your bench, but he's got 3 matchups there where if it carries on, he might just be a late playoff flex position if someone gets injured for you, and he can suit up. And like I said, he's had 11.9 points, 8.6, 11 points. And like I say, it's just been ticking up and up since he missed the first 5 or 6 games of the season anyway. So yeah, Devon Vele. And then I'll chuck one in, Bish, and I want your opinion. It's not on panic stations. I'm going to make it in the opposite of panic stations because of, again, how tough of a stretch he's had. Every single week now at QB, this man has got a good green matchup. It's Will Levis, the meme himself. He's had 2 good weeks now. Oh, sorry, not 2 good weeks. He's had 2 at least serviceable weeks, but he's got Washington next. He's got Jacksonville. He's got Cincinnati, the Colts, Jacksonville again, and then Houston in week 18. I think it's the best run for QB in the league. A lot of the commentators I've been watching are saying the Tennessee Titans are a lot better than what people think. It's just they've had such a tough start of the schedule, the tough first half of the schedule, that they've looked a lot worse. But you've seen some of the talents the last week or 2, and the meme himself might become a quarterback that you might have to pick up if yours aren't doing too well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's a great streaming option, and he reminds. Last year we had Nick Mullins for the Vikings, where he's going to throw an interception or he's going to fumble the ball, but that just means he's chasing the game and he's got to throw it more. And that's exactly what happens with Will Levis. He throws an interception, the other team, pick 6. That just means he's got to throw it even more now. So it's perfect for fantasy reasons and for streaming. So again, he's a player I actually picked up a few weeks ago, and then I needed to release him to cope with the buys. So definitely, if you're, week 13, week 14, if you've got Jaden Daniels, he's on a bye week 14, or your quarterback's on a bye this week, I'd pick him up and play him definitely. I think you got to expect a bit of variance where it could be bad, it could be good, but I think overall, I think you'd at least get 15 points.
I like it. And then the fun one, Bish, the punters, best kicker of the week. We normally cover a kicking story. Who have you got this week?
Not much of a story, but it's Will Lutz for me of the Denver Broncos. Tag's missed one. We're giving Broncos a load of love here. He definitely would have had Bo Nix as MVP for his I've forgotten the section, overreaction.
Oh yeah,
for the overreactions. But yeah, back to Will Lutz, 5 out of 5 field goals, 2 extra points, and from a season that started with field goal kickers nailing everything. Now we're seeing a lot miss. So to see him nail 5 out of 5, be a massive part in the win over the Raiders. They're ticking along nicely, the Broncos, and a lot of it's down to the boot of Will Lutz. Steady Eddie.
Like it, then I'll stick on the Tennessee Titans, and I've got Nick Folk as well, 100% from the field, 3 from 50 plus. Like I said, at this point of the season, the weather kicks in. It was an outstanding start for kickers, as you said, Bish, for this year. They've all fell off a cliff. Again, Nick Folk hitting 3 from 50 plus, 100% from the field, getting the Tennessee the win over Houston, where I believe the Houston kicker missed 2.
Yeah.
2 or 3. So he stood up. The Houston kicker faltered and essentially helped his team get the win. And that's the show, Bish. Oh, sorry, no, it's not. We're going to quickly cover the punt league. It's coming up to playoff time, and there's a couple of teams we need to mention. I'll cover the playoff positions. We've got Bish in first place at the moment. He's going to lose his first place title this week against I'm saying Lamar MVP. I've got Lamar.
Yeah, Isaac Farrell will trump me. And Isaac, he got a lot of stick at the beginning of the year because, as his name gives it away, Lamar MVP. Lamar was his man, and I believe he was down to pick 8th or 9th, and he actually traded up to, I think, number 3, number 4. I think it was number 3 because Tag were 4. I think he traded up to number 3 to pick Lamar, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, what's he doing? Don't have a clue." And he's nailed it. To be fair to him, his points for as well. He's scored quite a lot of points. Lamar, Mike Evans is back for him now as well, so I believe he will go top of the league. Jordan Lane will leapfrog me on points difference and go second. And as I said, I'm third, looking behind me at you, Joe. I think you and Jason Bass, on my heels.
Yeah, I think I'll just cover my team quickly. I've been starting Bo Nix at QB. I've got Dobbins, Jacobs. Very happy with that. I've got Ramondre, who is in that flex position. I think is perfect for it, as you've said throughout the year. But he'll have an amazing week, then a bad one, depending on matchup. I've got Cade Otton after my big Isaiah Likely waiver spend. Cade Otton now took over as my permanent tight end, and my 2 wide receivers. One of them that's helped me win the last 1 or 2 weeks is DeAndre Hopkins, and obviously the big trade I made earlier on in the year with yourself, CD Lamb. So I'm feeling confident, Bish. I can't lie. I've got CJ Stroud there as my backup QB. I've got Devonta Smith ready and waiting as soon as one of them 2 wide receivers falls off. I'm fairly confident, but as we covered earlier on in the show, not as confident as you should be with your free-headed talk about Sonic and Knuckles. You've got the 3
the 3 amigos. But I'll just go through my team then while we're here. So I'll go through my strongest team. Obviously, I had Bijan on bye this week, but I've got Justin Herbert at quarterback. My starting running backs are Devon Achane and Bijan Robinson, and Kyron Williams is my flex. My wide receivers are DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, and my tight end is George Kittle. Although this week, with Brandon Allen playing, I did bench him for Will Disley, so I'm fingers crossed that pays off, although it doesn't really make a difference this week as I've lost. But I think the top 5 are secured, like you said. The biggest one is that last playoff spot number 6. We have Lachlan Walmsley currently holding it. I believe he'll stay on 6 wins. The defending champ, Crimesy, will win and go to 6 wins. And then Sam the fan who made the playoffs last year, will also be on 6 wins. So it's 3-1. And next week we have Grimesy versus Lachlan Walmsley. So massive game. 2 games left, all to play for that last spot. So entertaining stuff.
I like it. Yeah, we'll do a big the Punt Fantasy League special in the next week or 2, going into the playoffs. I think covering it all, talk about the season, get Tag on, maybe get last year's winner on Crimesy. We can see if he's free. Get us four. We can all talk about the year. That's covered. Hopefully, he makes the playoffs and doesn't come on slaughtering us all like he did last year. So we can. Well, yes, enjoyed this one. Please like, share, subscribe, give all your comments in. Obviously, you've got the waiver wires that are going to become even more important. You've got loads of moves to happen. You've got 2 or 3 weeks left before the playoffs, depending on how your leagues are scheduled. The playoff run. Let's do it, Bish.
Yep, this is what you play for, the business end of the year.
See you soon.
See ya.